Good morning, friends. Here's the second update on our project SAHYOG. So let's begin with the responses that we have received on the poll. So for the first question, as to how many MSMEs will be willing to undergo PPIRP, we saw that no more, good 43% think that it's 10 to 20%, and another 25%. So almost 75% think that it will hover between 10 to 30%, and which, according to me, is also true. I would still think that it is going to be in the first category of 10 to 20%, as we will see that the constraints that are put upon the MSMEs are pretty high. So the challenge for us would be to how do we encourage MSMEs to come forth? How to encourage the banks to even resolve without going into through a complete pre-pack process, which means that if we could find a system where the MSMEs sincerely put their best foot forward and given their preliminary information and resolution plan and sincerity towards resolution, and then encouraging the banks on the other hand to go in through an RBI process of one-time resolution, one-time settlement. Of course, it still remains to be seen, but personally I think it should fall within the category of 10 to 20%, although we would all love to see it going up to 30% or more. So we'll have to find a way. I think the question for us is what all would we be saying, proving, to the MSME to go ahead with this process. We need to have a very thorough understanding of pros and cons, because that is the first thing any MSME would want an answer to from us. And I think majority of our time, even in the pro bono phase, would go into explaining to the MSME as to why he should go ahead with it. At the same time, ensuring that we also make him aware of the risks involved and let him do the risk analysis of what he wants to do going forward. The second question was, how much cheaper would PPIRP eventually be? So here we see a pretty varied difference of opinion, and it really ranges between 20 to 50%. But if we realistically look at things, so for example, in CIRP we have two valuers, but in PPIRP I think we'll end up having three valuers, because one valuation will be done by the MSME for himself, even at the phase 0 stage, before he fills up before he submits his resolution plan, base resolution plan. He needs some kind of, I'm quite sure the bankers would ask the basis on which the base resolution plan was made, and so one valuation will be done at that time, and two formally by the resolution professional. So we definitely see one extra valuation here. Likewise for forensic, the bankers could ask for a forensic before they agree to allow the pre-pack process to go ahead, which means that again in phase 0 some kind of forensic will be done by MSME, and then again by the resolution professional. So instead of one forensic, we just might end up having two in pre-pack. So the way we see is that there's one extra forensic, one extra valuation. So on the contrary to the price going down, we just might see the price going up. Technology might end up playing a more vital role, and given the confidentiality and the online, everything going online, there might end up being extra expense on technology, and technology would not be limited to voting um, or or auction alone. But then as we of course, the cost of yeah, if we look at from the professional point of view, the a professional will get engaged in phase 0 stage, then also in phase 1. Now let me also go through over here. Let me close this. Let's go here. So the way we in phase 0, we see the MSME does some basic groundwork, which is something that he can do very easily. In any case, we would be asking him to do, even if he were to come to us, we would be asking him to go about collecting some basic information, which would include his some financial information, some balance sheet, income statement, etc. I'll go through these details, and they also need to be categorized into, right now it's just a list thrown here, but we'll have it categorized properly, just like in this case. So let's assume that he ends up doing this work himself, and there is no real extra cost to him. Then in phase 1, he will come to us, which is the pre-pack advisor, and maybe a PPW referring to a pre-pack warrior. We will then do some eligibility check approvals, and then do some bit of preliminary information or base resolution plan. So this could be, maybe preliminary is pro bono, and base resolution plan onwards gets into the paid phase. Then the next phase is when the the MSME would require us to go along with him to the financial creditors, and start negotiating with them, and either on an OTS or a OTR, or convincing the unrelated financial creditors to accept the plan and the documents, so that prepack can be initiated. Of course, beyond that, we do not know, because once the bankers come into play, they just might want to have their own IP, and so the from here on, it's not really under our control, unless we ourselves are, um, with the bankers, or the bankers have already, we are a part of their list, and they choose us going forward. And then of course the remaining stages. But coming back to the point of of uh, of price, of how much would a PPIRP be, what we see is that there is going to be some cost to the MSME involved, even at this stage, when he would want to get some base resolution plan. Of course, there's going to be at the negotiation stage with the bankers, and then of course insolvency professional, NCLT, resolution professional, and then etc., all the way into the plan implementation. Uh, Personally, the only place where the process will cost will go lower is when the RP is not required to run the company, and which, if we again look into a little deeply, we would see that the real cost of running the company would revolve around uh, salaries or payments to the security agencies. uh, Majority of the salaries were already being given out to the key the KMPs, key management professionals, personnel of the MSME, or the corporate data, which will continue. So or one or two people that the RP would have employed on his behalf to keep an eye on the running of the company. So the security agents monies to security agencies will not be there. Monies to one or two managers or people belonging to the RP will not be there. But where else uh, is PPIRP going to be saving money? for the corporate data. If you were to look at it, even if the base resolution plan is going to cost him money, the insolvency professional in phase two will going to cost him money, although a little less, but nevertheless, how much less? Because if we look at the timelines, they are pretty stringent, and it's not that as if the resolution professional will have any less work than we would have seen in the CIRP. So anyway, the question is still open, and we can still debate, and time will tell as to how much cheaper is PPIRP. So far as I'm concerned, it would not be cheaper, more than 30 to 40% cheaper than PPIRP. To think that it's going to be cheaper beyond 50% is very difficult for me to perceive. So going in the third question, we see how many PPIRP process would an IP be able to handle. So majority of us think that it's 3, but I think unless we really leverage technology, you'd find again that the timelines are so strict that you and in case IBBI is breathing down our necks just the way they do, we definitely will not be able to handle more than 3, even after. Of course, it depends. Here the question was one man army, meaning one IP with 1 or 2 helpers, 1 or 2 assistants. But of course, if it's a big firm and IPE, then it's a different story. So again, I'll go with the majority. It has to be 3. Should not be able to no more than that. How many MSMEs will come forth? Now this really depends upon. This is what I and my team have been debating as to how do we ensure that we can get more people to come, and we are looking at how do we package this system. Do we make an Android app out of it and ask all MSMEs to download? Should we put it somewhere on the internet and then ask them to come there and start filling up these forms? So that's a challenge. The best way to take this forward is something that we are still debating, and nevertheless, we have seen that average of 10% or max of 20% are the number of people who really end up working. So even in our case, if we have a group of 256 warriors, but we have only 58 responses, so that's about 20%. So between 10 to 20% is what realistically seems to be people who end up. But then if we can do something better, we can have financial. Just a sec. Yeah, sorry for that. We were looking at. So we were looking at, since it's a free financial health checkup, obviously we'd like more. So it really depends upon how we are able to take the project forward, which will determine the level of interest and the level of trust we can generate in the MSMEs to come forward. But one thing is for sure, that the distress in the economy is pretty high, and as per a lot of news items that I read, that a lot of MSMEs are breaking into their fixed deposits, and that too not for the reason of taking their business forward, but for other reasons of even as basic as food, medicine, medical, etc. So the distress is definitely there, and the MSME should really be coming forth for something like this, to avail benefits of a project SAHYOG. So pro bono time, everyone is of the opinion that it's 3 to 6 hours. if we could leverage technology in such a way, if we could get the MSMEs to do some basic homework in such a way that if we could bring it down to 1 to 3 hours is what my endeavor is. So again, it depends how what are we able to um, put forth, and how do we bring it down to 1 to 3 hours. That is one challenge. But yes, I agree, 3 to 6 hours should be good, because assuming that there are a lot of people coming, and how many phone calls will you be able to attend in a day? And lastly, will the bankers entertain any discussion beyond what they have already had with the corporate data? So we are also assuming that the corporate data would have spoken not only with his chartered accountant or his lawyer or CSES, but also with his banker as to how he should do it. Bankers, as of now, have no, uh, you know, they have no internal methodology of how to take it forward yet, other than Bank of Maharashtra, which one of the news item was that they are looking at taking for taking 20 to 30 of their NPA accounts through the pre-pack process. But of course, the answer here is pretty varied. And what I'll do is I'll put these answers, and then we can so it's a yes and a no and a difficult and a not sure sort of a scenario. So this is where uh, one more area where we will have to talk to the bankers and make them aware that there is more to what they have discussed, and that they should look at what comes through our project, through us, and they should be open to what we have to bring on the table. So broadly, these were the responses. Of course, there will be more questions, and I would recommend, suggest, or request that please throw in more questions so that we can have a better idea of what we are getting into. So we have discussed this in the pre-pack process. Again, this is still in the making. We are I'm going forth. So changes are taking place in this application, and I think very shortly I'll be sharing this application with all of you, including telling you how this application is working, or what these buttons really mean. And of course, it goes into scoring and your law and timelines and process. And we'll go through this. One plan is to give this part of the app to break this application into, if you look at it, this application can be easily broken into phase wise. So if we can give this part of application to the MSME, let him fill the document, and this document can then be imported into the next document, and this next document can be imported into this. So it's like a folder, and the MSME puts in some papers, then hands over the folder to the next person, advisor. The pre-pack advisor adds some more paperwork to the same folder and hands it over to the insolvency professional, who then puts in, adds in his reports, etc., gives it to the NCLT. NCLT approves that, they gives it, the same folder. So what we see is that it's the same folder which is being given from person to person as they move along through the workflow. So obviously, this would increase efficiency, reduce cost, reduce time, and there is no so it should become easier. So this application is being configured in such a way that we give whatever we receive from MSME can simply be pulled into its right slots, and information from this MSME automatically flows into various variables or various slots required in the next. So for example, if MSME puts in his name, now corporate data name needs to escalate into other documents wherever. So once we have the name in this some variable here, it will automatically be pulled wherever else is required. So you don't even have to enter the the corporate debtor's name over and over again. Of course, this is still under development. Now let's look at the status of how many warriors have registered themselves on our map. So forensic warriors, if I were to only see forensic warriors, we see that there are two, and we have Vigyan. Oops. Yeah. So we have Mr. Vigyan Prakash Arora here in Chandigarh, and also we have Mr. Neeraj Kumar over here in Delhi. So only two people have registered themselves for forensic. So far as legal is concerned, if you were to see, again there is Mr. Vishwas Arora. Yep, there we are. And likewise two from Delhi. So what we can do is that warriors can start identifying other co-warriors, and then even start talking to them, or there are so many ways that one option is to create a separate WhatsApp group of all the people who have registered themselves over here, and then they can have their own set of notes being exchanged. A quick hello to each other doesn't harm anyone, and that way we can start to have a cohesive team. And so if we were to look at pre-pack warriors, we have 20 of us. So overall we see 20, 30, about 40, 42 people who have registered, and needless to say that we are looking at at least 3-4 warriors per state, right? So they should be evenly spread, and we should have a couple of them per state, just like we see over here from our old data. If we were to look at add professionals, we'll see that they're pretty well spread. So this is what we should be aiming for. Request for everyone is to please come and join, because okay, let me also tell you what the plan. Let me do this. So invitations would go out to all MSMEs. They will be they should receive some kind of an application, either in the form of an Android app for them to start filling, or some online application, along with a direction to this particular map where they can go and find out a person who's closest to them. So if they were to come to, say, searching for me, or they end up searching me, that there is a special help desk. So one thought is to create a help desk platform for every professional on this map, and an MSME could go to to the screen and actually go to his help desk. So if somebody were to go to my help desk, they'd probably go somewhere here, and of course we can take them to so many places. We're still working out how to integrate one application to the other, and how do we create help desks so that MSMEs who have created filled up information in for phase 0 can start interacting with with us on phase 2, phase 1. I will be updating you obviously on this, and inputs on any of the things that I have spoken so far are most welcome. If somebody has a better plan, please give me a call, and then we'll take it from there. So that would be the update for today, and we'll keep chatting, and I'll keep recording more videos, and till we meet again, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.